The new adventure stage is... This may sound like bullshit, but this is the story of one boy becoming rich in the subtropical islands. This boy, Jodio Joestar. The island's floating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, Hawaii. And this is chapter 1 of JOJOLands, Mechanism. To start things off, we see a couple of police officers driving in their patrol vehicle as they pull someone over. One of the officers approaches the vehicle and tells the passengers to turn off the radio. The female says that the officer is too close, and that she wasn't going too fast. The officer wants to see her driver's license, as he claims that she was driving unsteadily. The woman then pulls out her driver's license in a mysterious fashion. The officer tells her to wait, as she feels confident that she wasn't driving unsteadily. The girl's little brother is in the passenger seat, as the officer determines that the car doesn't belong to her. It's her parents' car, and she's worried that she might catch COVID from the police officer. The officer takes this as a racist remark, and demands that she step out of the car. The officer proceeds to abuse his power by groping the woman at his own discretion. He claims he's got a duty to justice, and he must perform a precise investigation of any unlawful activity. He sticks his hands into her underwear to pull out her driver's license. The boy steps out of the car and says, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? Get your hands off of Big Bro right now. You got me?" The officer is flabbergasted by what he just said, as the other one points his gun at the boy. The older brother, whom I've been calling a girl to this point, begs for his little brother, Jodio, to get back into the car. The officer threatens Jodio, but rain droplets touch his body and knock him onto the ground. In fact, they're utterly crushing him. We then get our first look at Jodio's stand, a cybernetic creature with 4 mechanical legs. The other officer tells him to stand down. The older brother touches the officer's face, making the eyes move upon command. Water droplets crush the officer into the ground, as Jodio calls him an asshole for what he did. The older brother, however, is less than pleased that Jodio did this to the cops. Jodio wants to burn any evidence of their involvement. The older brother agrees, as he uses his stand power to change the license plate number. And the stand itself looks like little mechanical robots with tank treads as legs. He then gets rid of the fake license as well. The two take off as they head over to a junkyard. They drop off what looks to be drugs, as they're given money for their service. The two's mother is Barbara Ann, and she gets up at 7:15 every morning and starts her day by running the washing machine. Turns out that she's a well-respected and well-loved individual, so people from the neighborhood help her commute to work at the airport. Big brother's name is Dragona Joestar, 18 years old. He enjoys girl-like fashion and works at a fashion boutique. Now, the slight swelling in his chest is from cosmetic injections. Their parents came here to Honolulu, Hawaii from Atlantic City on the mainland. But a bunch of stuff went on, so they're raised by their mother alone. As we discover that Barbara Ann Joestar is a daughter of Joseph Joestar and Susie Q. Jodio Joestar is 15 years old. Jodio hands some cash over to a boy on the bus. A mysterious man tells the boy to look deep inside the rain gutter. He proceeds to do so and finds some drugs inside. Jodio is here for what he calls the mechanism, but he, however, is just a transporter, which has earned him some nice pocket money. He juxtaposes himself with some kid who gets beaten up on a regular basis. Jodio states that this story is about him getting rich, but there's something far more important than that. Mechanisms. It's a general principle that brings you wealth. This is a story of one boy becoming filthy rich in the subtropical islands. Still not enough modesty for you? Well, sorry, I'm becoming rich no matter what it takes. This is Paco Lovelantis. He's 19 years old and he's still in high school. He lost a chunk of his ear due to his dad biting it off. What, is his dad Mike Tyson or something? Apologies if you find this offensive, Mike Tyson. Paco has a stand ability that allows him to steal. He can grab onto things with the backs of his hands and elbows, all without moving his fingers. Dragona grabs onto Paco's ear and wonders what he's doing in the shop. A large lady then states that they are closing down for the rest of the day. Dragona locks the store as they meet with Meryl May, the large woman. She turns out to be their school principal and the proprietress of the boutique, making her their boss. Aiko, the boutique, is just a means for hiding their criminal business. Meryl May shows them a photo of a natural diamond that's worth over $6 million. A Japanese tourist has the diamond in their possession, and they plan on staying in Hawaii for 15 days. If they do the job, they'll get 40 grand each for their efforts. They all agree, as Meryl says that they'll be going as a team of 4. The 4th member arrives, as it turns out to be the guy that Jodio sold the goods to earlier. This is the beginning. The boss did call one thing correctly. Just the 3 of us would seriously not have been enough. Actually, it wouldn't have been enough no matter how many people we had. We then find out that Jodio's stand is November Rain, Dragona's stand is Smooth Operators, and Paco's stand is The Hustle. Alright, so now we're on chapter 2, The Japanese Man in Hawaii. Now this chapter starts off with a girl riding on a bicycle. She introduces herself as Kate's friend to Jodio. She has an exam this weekend and wants some of quote-unquote that. Jodio brushes her aside by saying he doesn't know any Kate. Before she leaves, however, Jodio tells her to put some money she owes into an empty juice can. Now the girl has $100 and wants to know how much product she can get. Nevertheless, Jodio thinks she's kinda sus. In fact, he suspects that she's a cop. He wonders if she shoved a camera or mic into the headlights of the bike. And perhaps she's even working with the ice cream shop guy. Despite this, he tells her to put the money in the can. Perturbed by this treatment, the girl decides she doesn't want to do business. She then says that police officers are people of justice, so they can't lie. So if they were doing an undercover investigation and they were caught lying, the evidence would be invalidated. Therefore, if he simply asked her if she's a police officer, she would have to say, "Yes, I am." "Are you a police officer?" asked Jodio. "No, I'm not a police officer. I'm just a college student," says the girl. Jodio then tells her to walk towards the King Kamehameha statue, which she does. Paco then comes by and says that she stepped on something. And upon looking down, she sees a bag of drugs. She then pulls out a gun and says that she's with the DEA. Jodio is taken down by several officers as he can't believe what just happened. Turns out that the woman was recording the whole conversation. Now the two of them are just small fries. The DEA is after their boss. She then tells the officers to read them their rights. Now it turns out that the officer that's holding down Jodio is the same officer that pulled them over the other day. And it turns out that he likes the feeling of touching Dragona's ass, knowing full well that Dragona is a male. In fact, he'd like for Jodio, or especially Dragona, to lick his cock. Raindrops suddenly appear, destroying the incriminating evidence. Now, being that they're not stand users, they're helpless to do anything against Jodio's stand. On an unrelated note, Jodio has an antisocial personality disorder, meaning he might be a psychopath. Barbara Ann, his mother, was in disbelief when she heard this, but Jodio said he'd be careful. "I'm about to lose my shit," claims Jodio. We next see the main group at the Hawaii Kona airport. Usagi was supposed to secure a car for them, but he suggests that they split the price. Now, Usagi is 17, Dragona is 18, Paco is 19, and Jodio is 15. The four of them get in the car and begin their mission. Now, it turns out that the Japanese man's house is still occupied at the moment, but he's all alone with no other guest. And because of this, he'll most likely be spending his time at the pool. Now, Jodio's going to keep watch while the others go inside and retrieve the diamond. And they're going to concentrate their efforts on the master bedroom. Jodio then spots a cat on the premises, as he urges the others to remain patient. Dragona says he wants a camera, as Usagi unveils his stand ability, and it's called Mat Kudasai. It takes an existing object and transforms it into something you want. Okay, we're going in. We then see the Japanese man swimming in the pool. While using his binoculars, Jodio immediately recognizes the man. "I have his books at home, and I always watch his anime online. He's a mangaka, and the target's name is Kishibe Rohan." Alright, so now we're on chapter 3 of JOJOLands. They'll do anything to achieve their goal. The team is made up completely of stand users. Jodio strolls his way into the mansion, while Rohan continues swimming in his luxurious pool. Jodio hides behind some furniture, and begins to gush over the fact that he's in the presence of the real Kishibe Rohan. "This is a half-drawn manuscript of Pink Dark Boy. Sheesh! I'm so nervous my fingers are shaking. Just being able to see art like this is making my day," says Jodio. Meanwhile, Dragona summons Smooth Operators to open the door. With the door open, Dragona's group is right ahead inside. But Jodio warns him not to stand by the sliding glass door in the living room, that way Rohan doesn't discover them. Dragona, Paco, and Usagi enter the lavish estate. Dragona instructs him to just focus on the diamond, since they'll risk attention from airport security when leaving the island. Unfortunately, Paco and Usagi are straight up stealing everything they can get their hands on. And this dude Paco is even stealing a toilet plunger. Dragona sternly tells them to put everything back and to only look for the safe. Usagi cuts up an expensive piece of art, only to find that there was nothing on the backside. Totally worth it. They then enter a room with rocks lying on the floor.
The rocks, Hank.
No, they're minerals. Jesus, Marie, I got some geodes coming that are very delicate, all right?
Jodio finds pictures of volcanoes and lava. What's so interesting about taking close-up pics of cool lava, says Jodio. Paco considers the possibility that Rohan is refining medicine in these beakers. Usagi determines that the stuff inside is lava. What I'm trying to say is that a flask is a tool for heating and cooling. A beaker is for measuring quantity and mixing. Lava isn't smooth. It's all sharp and hard and rugged. I have no clue why he has it though, says Usagi. Jodio looks at a picture of Rohan's dog as a mysterious cat walks by, and it turns out to be the same cat that was outside. Okay, so then, that cat from earlier that's been wandering outside the house? Whose is it? Rohan steps out of the pool as Jodio begins to panic. Jodio warns the others, telling them to get out of the house ASAP. Rohan then wonders where the stray cat came from. This couldn't possibly be someone's cat, could it? Dragona determines it's too dangerous. They'll have to look for the diamond another day. However, Paco and Usagi then come upon the safe. Dragona commands the two to stand guard while she opens the safe. He summons smooth operators as Rohan opens the door to go inside. Rohan then notices rain outside, so he goes to retrieve his tablet. While there, his finger gets pierced by one of the spikes from the cactus. Now the safe door has 5 locked bolts, so it's going to take some time for smooth operators to get inside. Usagi then notices the same cat from outside. As long as it doesn't start barking, I don't really give a shit about it, responds Paco. Dragona finally opens the safe, as the three stare at the stunning diamond. Dragona then wonders why there is cool lava inside the safe. They got no time to worry about this as they make their escape. Paco then notices some fishing line wrapped around his ankle. The line self-tightens around his ankle, causing him severe pain. What is this? It's getting tighter! A plastic string then attaches itself to Dragona's arm. It begins to rapidly tighten. Another one goes for Usagi's foot, but he dodges at the last second. The object sort of looks like a fishing line. However, it's floating up in the air, and half of it is see-through. The strings only get tighter, as Usagi suspects that this is the cat's doing. You think a security device like this exists? That's a stand! We're being attacked! That cat's been targeting us the whole time, says Usagi. Rohan then suspects that the cat is up to something, and that the rainfall just now was aimed at a particular spot. Jodio then suspects that Rohan is a stand user as well. He then attempts to warn the others. Alright, so what's going on, guys? Chapter 4 of JOJOLands versus Kishibe Rohan. Now to start off this chapter, we got this nice colored page right here of Kishibe Rohan tied up by Jodio. So really nice stuff. I really like the color pattern and I like the posing as well. The fact that Kishibe Rohan can pose even when he's tied up like this is pretty remarkable. You know, you only live your life once, you might as well be posing. Now Rohan is noticing that the events that just happened are a bit weird. And it seems like he's suspecting that he's being attacked by a stand user. Now, because of this, Jodio tries to warn the others that Rohan is a stand user himself. Now, because the string is still binding onto Paco's leg, he asks for a pair of scissors. And he implores Usagi to pass over the scissors as fast as possible. Now, I thought this other part was pretty funny as well because he's asking Dragona if he wants a pair of scissors as well. But he doesn't refer to him as Dragona, he just says Pink-chan. Now, while this is going on, Paco attempts to stick the pair of scissors between the string and his leg so that he can cut it off. Unfortunately, when he does so, the pair of scissors breaks. It chips off. And because of this, the situation is getting really dire because the string continues to tighten and it doesn't seem like there's a way to get it off. And if this continues, he might actually lose his foot in the process. Now, Dragona thinks that this is part of the security system, but Paco thinks otherwise. He also notes that when he touches the string itself, it feels like it's made of natural materials. But the way it's behaving, it's almost like it's stainless steel. Usagi clarifies that it's not stainless steel, however, that it's a stand ability. They then wonder whose stand ability as Usagi points over at the cat. Now, even though this seems like the most likely conclusion, Paco wonders why a cat would set up a string trap. But Usagi reminds him that animals, just like humans, can see stand abilities. Jodio then warns Dragona about the situation about the owner of the house. Now the group of three put their masks on so that they don't get caught, but the strings are still tightening around Paco and Dragona. Now Dragona's got an idea. She summons smooth operators, and instead of trying to move the string, she's going to move her hand. And by doing so, she's able to slip her hand through the string and into safety. Usagi then notes that after the string falls off of Dragona's hand, it disappears, confirming the fact that it is a stand ability. Paco then decides to use his own stand ability to contract his muscles around the string. He then begins to vibrate them so that they press up against the scissors blade and start to rub against it. And by doing so, he's able to wear down the string enough to break it off of his ankle. Nice! Screw off! I beat your shitty trap, asshole, says Paco. Now it's time to escape, but Dragona notices that Paco's backpack is open and the diamond fell out. She wonders how this could have happened, and as she reaches over to the diamond, she notices another hand. Were you the one that opened it, the safe? Quite impressive. But what will you do now? Says Rohan. Dragona begins to sweat and wonders if she'll be in danger if she picks up that diamond once again. Now because Rohan interjected in the situation, Dragona notes that they're gonna have to tie him up. Nevertheless, Rohan says that tying him up is out of the question, along with them stealing the diamond. It is then that Rohan decides to use Heaven's Door to find out more information about Dragona. He also determines that this is just a simple burglary. He now wants to read what's written on each of their bodies, because he has to determine how much information they know about the diamond's existence. Rohan then begins to approach Paco, but he tells him to stay away, and if he doesn't, things are going to get rather violent. Rohan doesn't take any heed to his words and makes his advance. But before this happens, Paco leaps over him and grabs him from underneath the chin with his arms. And it looks like the way he did this was by holding onto the ceiling with his back muscles, so pretty impressive stuff. Now in a surprising turn of events, Rohan decides to throw the diamond over to Usagi. But when he does so, Heaven's Door activates, revealing Usagi's information. Rohan then uses his distraction to reveal information about Paco as well. And by attaining all this information, Rohan discovers that Meryl Mayq is the one behind this heist. Now because the four of them don't know any information about the diamond, and are just in it for the money, Rohan is quite relieved. Now Dragona thinks that he has the diamond in his hands, but when he opens them up, they're empty and the diamond is sitting on the floor. A coincidence or not, the mystery of the diamond deepens. Alright, so now we're on Chapter 5, November Rain. Rise up to the pinnacle of this world's mechanisms. Now this chapter starts off with Dragona realizing that the diamond has fallen out of his hands. At the same time, Rohan is tying up Usagi and Paco. He then uses his cell phone to call the police and let them know that someone broke into his house. He then lets Dragona know that a patrol car is coming in about 10 minutes, so they really don't have a lot of time at the moment. Rohan then wants to tie up Dragona just like the others. Out of desperation, Dragona picks up the diamond again and tries to run away. And while he's sweating, it appears the diamond transported from his little pocket bag over to a cup by Rohan. So something mysterious is going on with the diamond. It's really peculiar at this point. Rohan then notices a bundle of banknotes that are lying by Paco, indicating that he was trying to steal them, or maybe this is another trick. And Dragona is like, what the hell, that freaking diamond? Just what is going on with that diamond? Now Dragona demands to know who Rohan is, yet Rohan just sets his focus on tying him up. However, while this is going on, rain begins to pour within the house. Of course, this is very unusual, so Rohan determines that the other cohort that was standing by the pool must have caused this unusual phenomena. In fact, it's most likely a stand ability. He then goes to check in on the carpet, however, the concrete underneath breaks through, allowing Jodio to catch him by the neck and tie him up. After doing so, Jodio apologizes for the inconvenience. Now while Rohan is tied up, he determines that the rain was adding weight to the concrete. Now Paco and Usagi want to give Rohan a thrashing, but Jodio stops this from happening, and that's because he respects him as a mangaka. Now Dragona reminds him that Rohan called the police, and the diamond is acting strange for some reason. It almost appears as if they can't steal it. Now Rohan claims that they won't escape, but Jodio hands Rohan his phone and tells him to call the police back and say that it was a mistake. Now Jodio says that he's a big fan of Rohan's work, and he begins talking about lava that he found when he was investigating Rohan. He then pulls out the shards of the lava rock to show Rohan, and upon doing this, Rohan gets pretty nervous. He's starting to sweat. And Jodio even determines that the whole reason for his vacation here was not for the diamond, it was in fact for the lava rocks. and it's very possible that the lava rocks are more valuable than the diamond itself. And by knowing all this information, Jodio says that if they're stopped by any police officers at the airport, that he's going to take the lava rocks that are so valuable and throw them into the ocean. So essentially, he's trying to blackmail Rohan. And to make sure that Rohan knows that he's not bluffing him, he decides to smash many of the lava rocks, all except for one. "Are you out of your mind, you asshole?" says Rohan. "There's still one left," says Jodio. Now, as they get ready to leave, Rohan calls Jodio over. He's got something important to say to him. If you're going to take that, then a responsibility comes with it. You are by no means to let go of that lava rock. There's only one. Make absolutely sure. If you handle that lava rock with care, then you'll be able to become filthy rich. Such a mechanism will gradually become yours. A law of nature lies in that lava rock. Now, Jodio wonders what he's talking about, but Rohan isn't going to give him any more information. Rohan then says that they'll meet again and that they won't run into any trouble with the police. He then tells Jodio not to speak a word about the lava rock, and he begins to wonder if Jodio can really trust his comrades. Now, as the gang of four leaves the property, we notice that Usagi stole some of the artwork from Rohan's estate, and we see that Paco has the diamond in his possession. However, as they're making a run for it, the stray cat, along with some other cats that look exactly the same, start to track them down. And with this, the cat chase begins. Chapter 6, Snatch Up the Rides of This World. Jodio contemplates Rohan's cryptic words about the lava rock. Just what did he mean by that? Entrusting this to someone like me? Dragona informs Paco that he dropped the diamond. Jodio then notices Rohan's original drawing lying on the ground as well. I thought, didn't I put that in my backpack? Questions Usagi. Jodio notices that the money, the diamond, and the drawings are all gathering towards the lava rock. Jodio attempts to pick up the diamond, but ends up getting caught in the wire trap. He drops the lava rock as he notices a cat race by. They then speculate that the wire trap is the cat's doing. The wire then begins to tighten around Jodio's ankle. Usagi speculates that the cat has been standing guard this entire time. Dragona attempts to help his brother as he's pierced in the back by the wire. The wire continues piercing him as the situation looks really dire. The wire then stitches Paco to Dragona's body. Paco then notices that Usagi is missing, as the diamond and the lava rock are gone as well. Jodio commands him to come under him as he activates November Rain. And with this, the wire retreats from the three, confirming that it was in fact a stand ability. While the three wonder what to do next, they notice the cats off in the brush. Jodio then wonders why a cat is using a stand ability against them. In fact, it worries him that they've been watching over them from the beginning, meaning it could be after the diamond. The floating wires cut down several bushes as they go after Dragona and Paco. Dragona urges her brother to use November Rain to break off the branch. Unfortunately, the distance to the branch is out of his range for his stand ability. Paco uses the hustle to climb up the tree so that he can cut the wire from Jodio's ankle. They then notice three cats who are staring down at them. Jodio speculates that the cats know the range of their stand abilities, as it seems like they're keeping an appropriate distance. The cats then reveal their ability to create the wires from their own fur. They use said wires to ensnare the three, leaving them in a precarious situation. Jodio uses November Rain to escape while attacking one of the cats in the process. And by knocking out one of the cats, the wires go limp. One of the cats then becomes very furious. The wires form a net, trapping Jodio inside. Just then, a car jettisons itself into the air and crashes into the base of the tree. And it turns out that Usagi did this to distract the cats. Usagi explains that he mixed sturgeon eggs with the burger meat that he had in the car, and he then fed said meat to the cats. Dragona then tells Usagi that he wants a net. Usagi then drops the lava rock onto the ground. As the two cats go after it, they get trapped within said net that Usagi created with his ability. Jodio then recalls how Rohan told him not to tell his comrades anything about the lava rock. Nevertheless, Jodio determines that someone was watching Rohan prior to their arrival at the villa, which means that someone else knew about the significance of the lava rock. Now that they've drove off the cats, what will happen with Jodio and the others? The crew notices that the cops are not chasing them down, which means that Rohan kept up his end of the deal. Usagi asks Dragona for $20 so that he can buy some snacks. Dragona then wonders if Usagi insured the car, since he dented it up in their prior incident with the cats. Usagi becomes persistent, desperate to get some more snacks. But when Dragona pulls out the money, it's immediately attracted to the lava rock. Are you saying that you want to go back to the villa to ask what the deal is with the lava rock? Maybe the lava rock remembers the owner. Usagi decides to perform a test. Now the lava rock has been sitting on top of Dragona's cash for about 3 to 4 minutes. He then tosses the cash onto the ground, but a passerby swipes the cash and goes to buy something. While Dragona asks for his money back, Jodio speculates that the $20 didn't have enough value. Paco then returns and says that a fly flew into his soda, and because of this, he got a refund and got 4 free sodas. As it just so happens, the change that he received was Dragona's $20 bill. Dragona now wants to perform a test. He wants to go into a luxury shop to place the lava rock on a valuable item. Although he does clarify that they are not stealing anything from the shop. He just wants to find out how the lava rock works. Dragona then takes the lava rock and places it inside his wallet. Inside the shop, Dragona gets ready to place the lava rock on an expensive watch, but is interrupted by a salesman. Dragona directs his attention to the diamond in his wallet, encouraging the salesman to show Dragona the private room in the back. The salesman does just that, and presents 4 expensive watches for their viewing pleasure. Dragona then tries one of them on, one that bears a price tag of $40,000. He then places the watch next to his wallet where the lava rock is. The salesman then locks the room and calls for security, and as it turns out, one of the watches is missing. Outside the shop, Jodio and Paco receive a warning from the cat's owner. Paco then looks in his lunch bag, only to see that it's filled with decapitated cat heads.